Good afternoon, everyone, and hello. My name is Rich Longo, and I'll be your host for today's Flycast Partners presentation. I want to welcome all of you from all over North America, from Canada to Florida to Texas, California, and the Northeast. Welcome. Today's webinar is Are You Leveraging AI for Your Big Data and Service Tickets? Presented by Bobby McCullough. Now, Bobby has been in the IT industry for well over 20 plus years. Has been with Flycast Partners for a while now to help expand our reach into the digital transformation. He's been involved in the implementation of multiple tools for a major multinational financial organization. He's been a software engineer for USPS, ITIL V3 and Scrum certified with experience in ITSM, ITFM, ITAM, and digital transformation. Before we get started, Bobby, and I know you're chomping at the bit to get going, let me introduce our organization. Flycast Partners is here to deliver a seriously amazing IT experience founded and staffed by personnel that have many years of experience in the IT space. We took the best ideas from these collective experiences and added the best components necessary to grow and become a leading value-added reseller in the North American IT market. We offer best-in-class services and training in ITSM, ITAM, workload automation, capacity optimization, business intelligence, enterprise service management, all using nothing but ITIL best practice. Our professional services can easily scale up or down to meet the needs of any organization, regardless of your size, complexity, or budgetary restrictions. We offer implementation services both on-site and remote, as well as training to reinforce your company's long-term IT success. Our ongoing remote administration and support service offerings will enable your organization to focus on those normal day-to-day tasks, saving you both precious time and money. I encourage you to reach out to us directly at 844-FLYCAST, that's 844-359-2278, or simply visit our website and chat with one of our ITSM specialists. I encourage you to utilize our websites for researching industry white papers, training that is available. We have a new training center that we've added to our website with a variety of different courses that you can attend, whether it be big data and analytics, Agile and Scrum, business productivity tools, cloud computing, cybersecurity, digital marketing. We have pretty much the gamut. I also encourage you to visit our up-and-coming webinars page to check out new topics that may interest you or your coworkers to share. To visit our technology page for tools that may interest your organization, or our process page for the assistance you may require for your processes and IT, whether it be a 360 assessment, strategic planning workshop, or process design and improvement. Flycast Partners is here to help you and your organization guide and get through it. Without further delay, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to the star today, our presenter, Mr. Bobby McCullough. Now, Bobby, I am transferring the screen over to you. Let's unmute you so we can hear you. And you have control, sir.
Thank you, Rich, very much, and thanks everyone for joining us today. The title of today's presentation is Are You Leveraging AI for Big Data and Service Tickets? And that's really what we're going to focus on. We're going to talk about the TrueSight intelligence solution, but really what we're talking about with it in this specific example is how we can leverage AI in TrueSight to help us look at our service tickets, how we can improve in our IT processes in our service desk area. Now, really, I don't want you to think of this, though, as, wow, this is going to be a neat tool to help me with my service desk, because that's not what it is. It's a neat tool to help you with anything. It's the AI in the tool is designed to find trends and anomalies and relationships that you might not necessarily be able to find on your own. So as we go through this today, again, we're really going to focus on service tickets, but I don't want you necessarily to just think about service tickets. I want you to think about how this is really something that you could leverage for all your data. any of your big data. Now, TrueSight is a very expansive tool. You may have already seen some other presentations on the end-to-end monitoring or capacity solution. Today, we're going to focus on the machine learning and the analytic portion of the tool, on how you can use sort of TrueSight's brain in a box to help you in your IT operations. So some of the things that we know that all service desk organizations have issues with are always trying to find areas of optimization. How can we save time? How can we save money? Ways to improve your service desk KPIs, performing long-term planning, as well as ensuring that you've got good quality data. So we're going to show you how today TrueSight can help you in each of those areas. So the first area that we're going to talk about is how we can use TrueSight intelligence to identify areas of optimization. So let's jump over to the tool real quick. And this is TrueSight Intelligence. This is a landing page. It's a SaaS solution, so I can get to it from anywhere, any browser, from a tablet, a mobile device, or my computer. And it presents the information in a graphical format, so I can see some key metrics. In this instance, we're just looking at my service tickets, my service desk system, and looking at key metrics along along those service tickets. Now, these are the typical type of metrics. You know, what's my total ticket time, time to resolve, how many critical tickets do we have, how many escalated tickets do we have, all those type of things that you would expect to see right here in the dashboard. But you can drill in a little bit deeper. We're going to go over to the events area of the tool. And when TrueSight Intelligence ingests data, it sees that data as events. And so here it's showing us ticket events over time. And just so you get the hang of this, that this is a big data type tool, we're looking at 1.2 million records. And so as I go through this and make these changes, I want you to notice how quickly the screen can respond and filter that data right away for us. So this is looking at our tickets over time, so I can see what the volume looks like. But I've got lots of graphs and data down here, metrics down here, to give me other information about those tickets as well at a glance. I can see the type of products involved, where they're coming from, what's their description, how did we resolve them, all the...
Bobby, real quick, the audience is asking, are they supposed to be able to see your dashboard? Because they're all, there we go, that's what they're all looking for. That's it.
I apologize about that, Rich. So
no
we're looking, we can see our events over time, see the volume of those events over time, and we can also see our different metrics related to those tickets as well. You can hover over these. They're in this screen, this particular screen, I believe most of these are set to give me quantities, but you can change them to, you can hover to see the percentages, but you can change them as well to show me percentages instead of counts. So very handy type screen. This would just be populated with the different metrics that we would get off your service tickets or whatever data set, time series-based data set that we're bringing in here. So we know that organizations, service desk organizations, if you can offload work that are going through your agents, that can be a big savings to organizations in time. Having a self-service portal, industry numbers have shown that you can deflect as much as 50% of your incident tickets just by having that self-service portal. But it's not necessarily good enough to just have that self-service portal. We've got to look at what all does that portal encompass. And so this is a real example. This is a real data set where an organization found about a little under $1.5 million in savings because they weren't automating their password resets, their account lockout issues. And so the way that was found is looking at a screen like this. I can see in my descriptions here I've got several at the top that are account lockout issues. So because those could actually be different types of descriptions, people could describe that different ways, I'm going to set some filters in here. So let's go down and grab my description filter. And then from my description, I want to look at some keywords. My keyword would be account and lock. That would get locked and lock out. Disable. Notice how the screen is changing behind me. We've quickly narrowed down from, what was it, 1.2 million to now we're to a little over 90,000. So a little over 100,000. So now we quickly added those filters, immediately limited our data, and so now I can see what's the distribution of those account lockout type issues. If I go down and look at my resolution method, I can see that most of them were service desk assisted. So that's really that's costly. That's going to require an engineer. That could lead to additional costs. And if we filter on just those or view on those events, you can see the individual events themselves. I can go back to my summary. And I've limited the service desk assisted, and I can see here that my volume sort of is growing over time. So not only is this an issue, but it seems to be it's an increasing issue. If we could automate these account resets associated with our phone, our email, a few of these other type of devices and products, we probably could save quite a bit of money. So this is a tool that your service desk analyst would have access to. They can see the big picture, dive into the details, understand trends, and it's not just understanding the trend as a typical analytic would do. I'm going to show you in a minute how we can do correlations to those trends and get more information out than you could from just a typical analytic. We were able to identify scope for automation. In this instance, we're identifying what's the biggest bang for our buck on automating some self-service function for our customers and basically help them save some money. All of this is achieved just through a few clicks through TrueSight intelligence. So let's go over and let's take a look at our service ticket analytics, our breach comparison. So it's not just a matter of getting the information, seeing it in a graphical format. It's also about the tool's ability to do comparisons in the system. And so here we're looking at tickets, volume of tickets that were escalated, volume of tickets that were assigned critical, and SLA breaches, 3 different metrics through the system. And I want to kind of narrow this down. So let's look at 2010 through February 2012. So we'll look right about here. Okay, so several ways that I can modify my data, filter my data based on date. I could grab it, and or I could go up and set the date. I've got also specific ranges. This is available throughout the tool. So here I'm seeing that it looks like my SLA breaches, escalations, and critical tickets are all sort of tracking together over time. Now, this all could be coming in from multiple ticketing systems, from disparate teams, wherever that type of data normally would come from. You can bring that in and make these types of comparisons. Now, this is something that these could be individually done in a report or an analytic, but TrueSight Intelligence allows you to bring them together and see this relationship across time here. So we know that when you engage the entire stack in support, that it could cost up to $85 a ticket. And when you, in our example here, we're seeing tickets are escalated and critical and SLA breaches all sort of in unison. So what's happening here is that when we have something comes in and it breaches SLA, when it goes critical, we automatically escalate it and it breaches the SLA. This, again, involves the entire stack, which leads to costly ticket responses. We want to be able to handle that in a more efficient manner. Let's drill in
Bobby,
right here.
We have a question from Paulo while you're in here. He said he sent it to you, but he said, let's kick it up a notch. It's easy to see the increasing trend, but can you factor in employee count, i.e. if you have natural staff growth, you'd expect more lockouts. The magic is the ration of lockouts per staff member. Is that possible?
That's definitely possible. I don't have that specific data. But that's definitely possible. Something that we could that you can add in here. Again, this is a tool that's meant to accept or ingest data streams, data feeds, and allow you to find relationships in those data streams. One of the things we want to do here is let's look at our SLA breach and correlate it. So this is where the tool goes out, and it actually looks at the data set. And I've got a couple of other examples to show you before we're done here. It goes out and looks at all the events that we're managing through the tool, regardless of the application that they may be coming from, and looks for relationships, looks for correlation. In this case, we found the relationship between SLA breach and escalated. In some of the ones I've got to show you later on, we actually can compare changes in business activity, sales, loan approval rates, or whatever, with infrastructure and machine events that are coming through from the system. So we're able to do these correlations here. We're able to see leading and lagging indicators. So if something is a leading indicator, the system will tell us that here, and then we can actually create alerts around that, so that if it's leading, we can be notified beforehand of that issue that's coming through the system. So I want to jump back to my slide deck. So that was two areas of optimization. We had self-service tickets that had some lockouts and things that weren't being managed through the self-service ticket system. We found out the value of those, how expansive that was in our system. Now we've got something to make the case for doing that, and we know what that's going to cost. We know that at $1 to $5 a ticket, you know, we're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.5 million in savings. And then on our process, where we're automatically escalating so that it involves the full stack, if we set up our processes better, we can avoid that and save on that end. over the last 2 years, that would have amounted to about $3.5 million. So that came up for this organization to about $5 million in savings just from optimizing their service tickets. So next, we want to look at improving service desk KPIs. So let's go back into the tool. Let's navigate up to one of our other views, service tickets, and we'll look at our time comparison. So this is where we're looking at what's the total time it takes to process a ticket. Wow, 300 to 500 hours. What's my customer reaction time and what's my support reaction time? So, you know, our process is once the ticket has been completed, we flag it as, you know, support reaction complete, and then we ask for some feedback to the customer before we finally close the ticket out. So looking at these numbers here at first, it looks like we're taking too long on closing out the tickets. Now, maybe we've got a training problem internally with our staff on how they're handling the tickets. Not really sure what's going on, but we can delve deeper into the information. And so I scroll down off the main graph there and start looking at the individual numbers, and I see here that my support reaction is the vast majority is 1 hour or less. My time to resolve is 1 hour or less. My customer reaction is what's taking so long. So really, I don't have an issue. Even though at first glance I do, I really don't have an issue with my service desk KPIs. It looks like what my issue here is maybe it's which KPI I'm looking at. If 80% of my tickets are over 300 hours and its customer response time is the culprit, I can always open additional lines to the customer to train them, to maybe try to get their involvement a little better. Or maybe I could just look at the more meaningful time to respond instead of the time to resolve, so that I know how my organization is doing more so than what's my customer response time. So our next item is long-term planning. So same data set, same information that we've been looking at. Let's go over and we're going to show you how TrueSight can help you understand growth. You know, this is something that you asked about, bringing in your staff metrics so that you understand, or employee metrics so that you can understand what those request numbers are per employee. Here we're going to take a look at our incident trends over time. Now, anytime we bring in data into TrueSight Intelligence, we ingest data into TrueSight. It's time series data, and so TrueSight will do this for us regardless of the data that we bring in. So here it's looking at our incidents, and it's just broken them out over time. All of those incidences, easy for you to say, have a date and time on them, and so the system automatically breaks those down into quarter, month, day of the week, and hour. So it can tell us what's the distribution of work or volume of requests that are coming into our system over time, and not just you know, for the week. It's really, in this example, the big four things that we learn from here is that the fourth quarter of the year, or in this example, the second quarter of the year, is really the best year for the best part of the year for training. If we're looking at it by quarter, but if we're looking at it by day of the week, it's probably Friday is our best day for training. That's when our volume drops the greatest. This lets us know about employing engineers in the afternoon because the volumes are higher, seem to be higher in the afternoon. We know that not all service desk engineers can be on a break at the same time in the afternoon. Quick turnaround time is achieved by quickly acknowledging the majority of tickets. So we know that where our greatest staffing requirements are needed. Hiring ideally should be in the later part of the year so that you can have your team properly trained for January's traffic. Employee retention can be encouraged. This is just a lot of information here just from the service ticket, just from the service ticket data that we're processing for all these other purposes in the system. So long-term planning, we understood where we can understand our staffing demands, not just for this week or this month, but for the quarter, the day of the week, the hour, the month, really do good long-term planning with tools like that. So our next item is data quality. And this is something that I'm sure your organizations have deal with all the time. You know, you've got tools that you want, that you're using to manage processes or manage data, and you do what you can to get your staff to enter in the information that you need, but you don't always get everything that you need. And let's go up and let me kill this filter that we put in here. Notice it jumps right back out from 9,000. Our date range is a little bit shorter. Very, very quick response. Let me go back up and set this date range for us here. So what I want you to notice here, as soon as the screen redraws, we're back at 1.3 million. Notice we've got a lot of nones and others. Nones in our product category tiers, nones, others. This is where, you know, it's just easier for your staff to just, you know, enter the description and go on, get their work done. TrueSight allows you to apply machine learning to this type of information. Rather than it come in and be, you know, basically not categorized, you can use TrueSight to categorize that data for you, so that to help you better design or better configure your service desk tool, so that you can get the type of information that you need. So this is our advanced analytics where we can do clustering. Now this is a beta feature that I've got access to through the tool. So but bear with me if we hit a problem. It was working fine earlier. I'm going to go in and click View. Now, this is where I told the system, look at a couple of months worth of data, look at my service desk data, and cluster my descriptions. So it went out and looked at the information that was written in my description fields to help cluster the data and tell me, you know, how many of these do I have. Here I can see these two sets, password reset and an account lockout, are the two that we're looking at, the two that we were talking about earlier when we started today. So this is a very handy tool for clustering your data, finding relationships in your data, and using that machine learning, that intelligence, the AI in the system to help you optimize your system. And somebody's got a question, Rich. Okay, I'll go ahead and continue on until we hear back from Rich. So it allows us to cluster our data to find relationships that we may not already be able to find.
There were no questions. Someone had an issue with audio, so everything's okay. They're back up and running.
Okay. So in this instance, understanding specific data issues, this allows you to implement processes or maybe catalog changes to help promote better data quality and allow you to review and analyze what's going on out in your system. So in this specific use case, with this data set, 1.4, 1.5 million service tickets, we were able to find areas of optimization where we got $4 to $5 million in savings over a couple of years from some process changes and automation that we found that we could do. Improving service desk KPIs. Here, really, we found that we're looking at the wrong number for our grade. We should look at a different KPI to understand how we're doing and try to promote that with the customer so that we can then maybe look at the KPI we've been using. Long-term planning, so visibility into staff workloads, staff demands. You know, we didn't bring any staffing information in. We could and compare that information along here, understand workload hours, and project that out for the future. And then finally, data quality, making sense from the mess. That's really the whole key with TrueSight, is its ability to make sense from the mess that's coming in the data. Now, I said earlier that I had a few things, a few screenshots I wanted to show you if we had enough time. I hope you can see this. I made it as big as I could here in the slide. This is an example of correlating machine and infrastructure events with a web application. So we're looking at what's happening on with the machine and the infrastructure that's serving that web application to the world, but we're also looking at the performance of that application. So in this example, the organization's got a critical web application, and so we're ingesting all that data and so that we can understand how their customers are impacted. And here, the organization was alerted that they've got a CPU utilization is high on one of their systems. So upon being notified that CPU utilization is high, they go in and do a correlation, and they learn that it's completely related to page views. So this most likely means that we may need to increase our resources because we've got some greater demand going on. That's a good problem, and we know the answer to that problem. So this is another example. This is correlating business data, sales, or in this case, it's loan approval time or loan processing metrics, along with the machine and infrastructure data for the systems that are supporting that loan processing system. And so they noticed their loan volume spiked. Normally, this happens on weekends and on holidays, and they're not able to push as many loans through as they would like. So in this example, the folks in the loan department, they're sure the system resource guys are shorting them somehow on their requested resources, and the folks over in the data center, they're blaming the application because they've given it all the resources that it seems to be asking for. So who is right? Well, in this example, we do the correlation of the data. We find out the loan approval time, the delays associated with the loan approval time really aren't related to, are completely related to loan request volume and not to system resources. So it's a very important question for an organization to answer. It's just as important to learn that you don't need expanded system resources as it is to learn that you do. In this case, maybe they need some process changes or look at that application. The developers look at the applications that they're using to process loans. And finally, forecasting. The tool is able to do baselines and understand what normal is for your organization for any data stream that you might feed it. And then it can, once it has ingested enough of that, it can then forecast that out so that you can understand future operating ranges when you're trying to do forecasts. Rich, that's all I had. I'd be glad to take some more questions.
I just sent out a couple minutes ago, I just sent a message to everyone letting them know if you have questions, let's get them now. Take advantage of the fact that we have Bobby live today, and he can show you what you're wanting to see in the tool. He can point different things out or potentially answer questions that you have. And I do appreciate the questions we've had so far today. Great questions. So if there are any more questions out there, by all means, let's get them in there. Type them in the chat box. You can put them in the Q&A section of the WebEx, and Bobby will will get to them now. As far as the presentation itself is concerned, this was a very high-level overview. So if you want a more in-depth view of this, please reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to get you connected with the right folks to make this happen, to show you a little bit more of this particular tool. It's a great tool. There's a lot of things it can do to really save you a lot of time and money. So if there are no questions, it doesn't look like we've got any questions popping up, we'll go ahead and let everybody go. Bobby, you have anything else to add?
Nothing at all. Thank you very much, Rich, and thanks everyone for joining today.
Very much appreciate it. Appreciate your time today, Bobby. I know you're a busy man, and all those of you that joined us for today's webinar. This was the last webinar for the season, so to speak. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and until next year, we'll talk to you then.